Hey everyone, today I'm going to be talking about my current event, which are catastrophic impacts as Storm Leonardo landed in southern Portugal and Spain. This began from February 3rd to the 4th, and then it proceeded for a couple of days. It involved extreme rainfall, which led to heavy, dangerous flooding for the environment. In this presentation, I will connect this current event to environmental science concepts from modules 2 to 5, including geological hazards, ecosystem disturbances, and I really wanted to include biodiversity limiting factors as I felt that was a very prominent connection to my current event. So, what even occurred? Well, Storm Leonardo was a part of a series of intense winter storms going around that region. It hit southern Portugal and Spain and moved across the Iberian Peninsula. According to Reuters and Deutsche Welle, rivers overflowed rapidly, multiple streets flooded, and rainfall accumulated at levels normally expected over months within only a few hours. So that just kind of shows the gravity of this rainfall and how dangerous it really was for the community. The Guardian's weather tracker shows that the storm was moving across southern Europe with persistent rainfalls. Because that rainfall happened so quickly and intensely, it kind of left communities with little time to react, increasing vulnerability and environmental stress. Communities didn't know what to do. They had warnings, but everything happened so fast, there wasn't much they could do in that little amount of time. Human impacts. So, of course, due to this heavy rainfall, humans were severely impacted. According to Deutsche Welle, at least one death and one missing person was reported. Homes were submerged, destroyed, damaged. Evacuations were issued, and floodwaters reached hip deep levels in some locations, as shown in this picture from Deutsche Welle. People weren't really able to move. They weren't able to get back to their everyday flow. Everything was disrupted. And these human impacts were not isolated events, though. They resulted from deeper environmental processes that I will go on to explain in this presentation. Something I really want to point out was quantitative data. I feel that it is very important in illustrating the severity and extremity of this storm and natural disasters and hazards as this one. 700 millimeters of rainfall fell from February 4th to February 6th in Grazamela, which is the equivalent to how much rain they get in 1 year. 150 millimeters of rainfall was recorded in only 2 hours in Amet, which created the highest red alert for heavy rainfall in those parts of Spain. Approximately 3,500 people were evacuated in Andalusia, Spain. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but 1,600 emergency personnel were deployed, including militias, 35 inflatable boats sent out for rescue in Portugal to rescue animals, people, anybody they could find. 14 and 10 rivers and dams were threatened by extreme flooding in Andalusia, Spain. So this just really shows, these numbers demonstrate the scale and intensity of the rainfall, which directly contributed to geological hazards, which I will go on to talk about. Geological hazards were a huge topic in Module 2. Module 2 made it a very clear point that geological hazards are one of the deadliest hazards, creating some of the most insane property damage and also landscape damage to animals. Extreme rainfall saturated the oils, reducing stability and increasing erosion. So, rainfall led to flooding, which led to soil instability. We can see this chain reaction as the soil instability led to landslides, as shown in this photo, which led to river collapses. Everything is a chain reaction with these natural hazards. These hazards show that one environmental trigger can initiate multiple geological processes simultaneously, ultimately highlighting how Earth's systems are interconnected rather than isolated events. This goes on to ecosystem disturbances, which is something touched on in Module 3. The flooding caused ecosystem disturbances as physical landscape changed as erosion and sediment movement reshaped terrain. Vegetation was uprooted as floodwaters disrupted soil structure, and runoff likely contaminated water systems by carrying debris and pollutants, leading to aquatic environments altered by sediment buildup and wildlife habitats being submerged, forcing displacement of the species, overall disturbing the ecosystem. These disturbances shows how environmental events disrupt ecosystem balance and reduce habitat stability. I wanted to talk about something that was mentioned in Module 4, limiting factors. Um, a geological hazard such as flooding could create limiting factors to population growth, as displacement and submerging of the species leads to increased mortality, which then leads to decreasing reproductive success and reducing available resources, overall limiting the population growth of that specific species, which I thought was a great connection to make. In conclusion, this event just shows that climate driven disasters affect both human communities and natural systems simultaneously. Storm Leonardo showed that these connections help us better predict environmental impacts and highlight the importance of studying Earth systems as an interconnected process rather than isolated systems. Thank you so much.